have 8 people on a stage, has been kind of removed from that. This has been a pretty intense, well thought out, good look at views, and able to look at things beyond just 1 or 2 sentences.
Well, clearly John Edwards is attempting to draw distinctions between his positions and some of the other frontrunners, as Candy mentioned, and clearly trying to go on the attack without seeming to be too hostile at Hillary Clinton and even Barack Obama. John King, who's also standing by. John, is it a coincidence that John Edwards continues to refer to Senator Clinton as Hillary and refers to everybody else as Senator Obama or Senator Dodd?
Well, she uses that on her own bumper stickers, Anderson. It has become a familiar name for her, but clearly there is tension between the two of them. Hillary Clinton is leading all the polls right now. Some would say that's the most dangerous place to be, especially in a state like New Hampshire, which has a history of going after the front runner. But structurally, she has the money. Structurally, philosophically, she is in sync with the Democratic primary electorate, and all of her rivals know they need to try to bring her down to earth in the polling, and they believe her single biggest weakness is the war. Because she voted for the war back in 2002, because she refuses to say that vote was wrong or was a mistake. She says at the time she thinks it was the right vote, and now because after saying she would not ever vote against funding the troops, she did vote against funding the troops because she says it's time to send President Bush a message. So Senator Edwards being quite aggressive tonight, trying to come at her from the left. And as I speak to you, right before I toss back, Anderson, I want to show you the energy here. These are bloggers here in this room, and that is part of Senator Clinton's, not necessarily problem, but part of her challenge is to keep the anti-war community believing that she not only is giving them the right answers now on the war, but that she would remain a credible candidate in the general election. She can't afford to lose the left, even as she tries to stay more in the middle when it comes to the war, Anderson.
Interesting.
And Candy Crowley, as we prepare for the second half, and that should be beginning momentarily, what has surprised you the most in this first half?
Well, I have to tell you that one of the answers that Senator Clinton gave did surprise me. It brought up her 9/11 experience, but when John Edwards stuck with his the war on terror as just a bumper sticker, argued that we're not safer, that George Bush has made us a lot less safe, Hillary Clinton came back and said, no, actually, I believe we are safer than we used to be, although we're not as safe as we should be. So I thought that was sort of interesting, given what John was just talking about, with this sort of need to move a little bit to the left on issues about the war and a little bit on terror. But Hillary Clinton, as a female, and her campaign has known this all along, needs to remain tough and needs to show that she has, you know, the muscle, if you will, to be tough when she can. So I thought this was a really interesting answer.
And certainly the candidates with the least to lose, former Senator Mike Gravel and Congressman Dennis Kucinich, lobbying some harsh criticisms of their fellow Democrats on the stage. Those are probably the sharpest attacks we've heard. We're going to be back here in about an hour for all the highlights and analysis, looking at what the candidates said, how it squares with the facts, keeping them honest. Let's send it back down now to Wolf Blitzer on the floor for a unique part of this debate.
We're back here at St. Anselm College in Manchester, New Hampshire. We're now set for our voters to question the candidates. Our pool of voters here are either registered Democrats or independents likely to vote Democratic in the New Hampshire First in the Nation primary. We brought them together with help from the New Hampshire Political Library and the New Hampshire Institute of Politics. CNN producers have interviewed all of them. And working with me in this half of the debate is Jennifer Vaughn from our partner, WMUR-TV. Jennifer has the first question. Jennifer?
Well, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Our first question from the audience tonight is from Jenny LeBranch. She's an elementary school teacher from Manchester, New Hampshire. Jenny, you are also the wife of a soldier who is serving in Iraq. That's correct. And I understand that you have had a very difficult week, haven't you?
Yes, unfortunately, we lost 2 soldiers and my husband's team to an IED explosion.
What's on tap next?
Well, we got to finish the mission, and we're all Army strong, and we want to bring all our guys and gals home and continue with just, I guess, every day.
Jenny, what's your question for the candidates tonight?
My question is, what is your vision on ending major military operations, and how do you plan on rebuilding the military after such many years of conflict?
All right, let me throw that question to Congressman Kucinich, because he's been outspoken on a lot of these issues.
Thank you very much, Wolf. First of all, thank you and your family for serving. This country has to end its occupation of Iraq. And as I mentioned earlier, The Congress, the Democratic Congress, has a very serious responsibility in this regard. We should simply not provide any bill at all. It's one thing to say you don't have the votes. It's another thing not to even offer a bill and tell the president he has the money now that's in the pipeline to bring the troops home. Now, with respect to this war has degraded our service ability. And we need to have certainly a strong army, but I believe that peace is the way we reflect our strength. So I want to see an American military that will be a strong peacekeeping force, not one that is being misused, like the one in this administration misuses our military. And we need a commander-in-chief who wants to link peace with security and who wants to see America's role working with the world community in cooperation.
Her question was specifically, what would you do to rebuild the military, which seems to be pretty stretched right now? Do you have a plan?
Well, the first thing we need to do is cut, first of all, there's a couple different dimensions. One is we need to cut military spending overall by about 25%. There's a lot of waste here we're talking about. Money hasn't been focused on the troops per se. This $97 billion